Second, his article, Inside Trading, is up on the AFL website and app. It is live now. You can read it. We're going to have a chat with him about, he's got a closest or the closest eye on any potential moves or contract renegotiation or recontracting that may be going on right now. Because if you think it's not, it is.
It's always stuff going on right now. But before we get to calculating, Cal, you said to me this morning before we came on air that you had an apology to make this morning to somebody. Do you want to go ahead with it now?
Oh, yeah. I did. Absolutely, I did. It was to Ryan Gardner, the backman for the
Bulldogs.
Yeah, he played a super game on Buddy Franklin, and because the game was last Thursday, I never got to talk about it Friday. I meant to get to it Monday and Tuesday. I kept forgetting, and I didn't think he was capable of playing as well as he did. So I apologise for not.
You didn't criticise him though, did you?
No.
So what are you apologising for?
Well, in the past, I've said I didn't think he was, the answer to their defensive.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think he was part of the best defensive setup, but his job on Buddy, it was only...
That's big of you to do that.
Well,
will you be doing it every week?
I don't get him wrong every week.
How many times a year will you be doing this?
Well, maybe once or twice. Calculating, Cal. Good morning to you, Cal.
Good morning, Garry. Good morning, Tim. How are you guys?
Nice. Always good to talk to you. We like Thursdays. You've got your little ear to the ground. I know that. What can you tell us about Dan Rioli?
Yeah, interesting one last year, guys, with Dan Rioli signing a one-year contract through this year where he could have taken a two-year deal and got himself through to free agency. I spoke to his manager, Ralph Carr, yesterday. Said Daniel's keen to wait to closer to the end of the year before making a call in his future. He's happy at Tigerland, clearly a triple premiership player there. And it started this year pretty well, playing in defence, a role that he played a bit off last year in a season that saw him drop once or twice. But yeah, one to keep an eye on from the Tigers' point of view. They're obviously heading towards a recontract there with Jaden Short, the free agent, and that'll happen. But Daniel Rioli is one to keep an eye on closer to the end of the year, and Ralph Carr said yesterday they pushed him out a little bit there.
Oh, you've been talking to Ralph, have you?
I did get on the phone to Ralph yesterday, yeah.
Hasn't been taking my calls lately. Why did he take yours, Cal?
Well, just the same reason you guys take me on here, guys. It must be your
he's a mover
your
and
great
shake.
Exposure for calculating.
Calculating Cal is a mover and shaker
He
now.
is.
When his number turns up on somebody's phone,
They answer.
yeah, 12 months ago, they would have just clicked it.
Lachie Weller, he was a big deal going up to the Gold Coast from Freo. He's about to be recontracted.
Yeah, he's into the fifth year of that deal, that big deal that's cost him from the Dockers to the Suns a few years ago. Obviously, the Suns gave him up pick 2 as part of that deal, which ended up being Andy Brayshaw. But Lachie Weller in talks at the moment. Our Queensland man on the ground, Michael Whiting, spoke to him this week. Negotiations underway there for a 3 or 4 year deal, which will take him through to free agency at the Gold Coast. He would have been a free agent this year, guys. He's part of that 2014 draft class had he been still at the Dockers, but of course he pushed that back by moving after 3 years. So more good contract news on the horizon there for the Suns, and most of their guys are staying, which is a good sign.
That is a great sign for what they're building up there. Now, there's a bit of nibbling going on at the Brisbane Lions at the moment. Daniel McStay not necessarily is going to stay. There's apparently a bit of interest down here in Melbourne, the club, 6-year deal, that type of thing. And also Darcy Gardner's in talks at Brisbane at the moment too.
Yeah, McStay is one that definitely has been on the radar of clubs in Victoria for a little while now. Negotiations have been parked there, but Collingwood's a club to look for there in terms of what they could be looking at. With McStay, I mean, you look at the clubs who are interested and had some interest and floated their interest in Ben King. I think they're the same clubs that will be asking the question around Dan McStay.
Sure.
Darcy
Are
Gardner,
they saying 6 years for McStay? Is that right or not?
Well, the thing, Garry, with grabbing a free agent out of a club, you have to give them long-term deals. That just is what it is. Yeah. So, and there's no key position players on the market, no key forwards on the market. How else do you get them apart from buying them or getting with early picks?
No,
so
fair enough.
It is hard to get them. Darcy Gardner, though, I think will be staying at the Lions, in discussions at the moment on a new deal. A free agent, he hits free agency for the first time and been a stalwart of that defence. So talks underway there and looking promising.
And before we talk, you want to throw a mid-season draft name up, which I'm looking forward to, but Max Holmes, another one at Geelong, who's starting to get some game time now.
Yeah, looking good, isn't he? He's a good player and was a bit of a bolter in his draft year in 2020. He barely played before being picked in that first round. The Cats traded up to get him. he's keen to just hold at the moment, out of contract. One of about a dozen first-round picks from that 2020 group who haven't re-signed as yet, but keen to just hold. Riley Beveridge reporting on afl.com.au today that happy just directing his attention to footy for the time being and working his place into that side as many as spot before entering contract talks. So an athletic player and someone who's a big part of their future, they'll be keen to sign him up.
Now, clubs always looking for an edge. The mid-season rookie draft is one we saw on the weekend. Jai Newcomb was I think he was a mid-seasoner. He played well. Sam Durham's just been recontracted. Matthew Parker kicked 3 goals as a mid-season rookie. This is a little opportunity, a little window. Have you got a name for us?
Absolutely. Just on the mid-season, Ryan Gardner a couple of years ago as well, Garry got his second chance through the mid-season draft, which you were just talking about. I do have a name for you, though. It's emerged over the last couple of weeks. Max Ramsden is a name to keep an eye out in the lead-up to the mid-season rookie draft. Sandringham Dragons ruckman. Watched him play on the weekend in the NAB League. Pretty exciting player. 202 centimetres. He looks like Max King. He's a ruckman, though. He can move around the ground. As this guy's ran a 6-minute and 4-second 2-kilometre time trial.
Right.
Now, I've added some context in our inside trading article today. In the combine a couple of years ago, Matt Rao ran 6 minutes and 17 seconds.
Right. So where's he been calculating?
Well, he missed out last year. He's been playing school footy at Melbourne Grammar. There's obviously been no school footy over the past couple of years, Tim. So he just wasn't really picked up along the journey. He only really entered the Sandringham Dragons program at the end of last year. Did nominate for the draft, though. So that means that because he nominated for the draft last year, he's eligible for the mid-season draft this year. And we know that clubs are looking at the mid-season draft as a place to stockpile tools. I mean, 7 ruckmen were taken in the mid-season draft last year. It's a very similar story to the Jacob Edwards one from last year.
That's a big one. Is it Ramsden? Is that what you said?
Yep, Ramsden, that's right.
Well, you heard it here first with Calculating Cal Twomey. Now, last week we talked about clubs who are identifying your George Hewitt types, players who are, maybe... I'm not saying he was underappreciated at Sydney, but they let him go because they got a whole heap of young midfield talent coming through. Have you been able to identify a few names that clubs will be looking at and thinking they might be able to extract them from the existing club and get better value?
Of course. You gave us the homework, Garry. I don't mess up the homework.
No, I know you don't.
There's a few names that popped up, and these are guys who are either in contract and missing out on selection or out of contract or could be looking for some more opportunities. So Rioli West is one. It's tough to see him getting a game inside that Western Bulldogs midfield.
Nice.
Out of contract this year, can find the footy, been dominating at VFL level. A couple of Carlton guys. Paddy Dow, obviously, has been a long story now, but pick 3 again in that midfield. Can he break into that group? It's so good at the moment. Liam Stock is a first rounder from a few years ago. I don't think he'd be going anywhere, but if a club tempted him with midfield time, and that's where I think his best spot is, and he might, who knows, could you look at it and say, this is where we want you to play? Because at the moment, he's not going to be able to break into that Carlton midfield. Quinton Narkle, a player who was on the market last year, ended up staying on a 1-year deal, but could have some more opportunities this year. James Bell from the Swans had some interest a couple of years ago from Collingwood. He's got speed and just can't break into what's a really good Sydney lineup at the moment. And a couple of key defenders, guys, who are in contracts for a year or two more. Brandon Zirk-Thatcher and Jack Payne. Zirk-Thatcher from Essendon, Jack Payne from Brisbane. I think key defenders are going to be the new rucks of the trade market. So you lose one, you're going to have to go and get one.
Big call.
And these guys haven't been able to break in at their senior teams across the last 12 months or so very much. So there's a few names to keep an eye out as the year progresses.
That's why he's a mover and shaker.
That's why Ralph Carr takes his call.
Very nice
right
work
there.
calculating. We love catching up with you on